So friends, Christopher Nolan's films are not just ordinary stories, but rather an experience that connects the audience with them. And now he has brought a very magnificent movie, The Odyssey, which is based on the greatest story in history, in which a warrior, after winning a war, sets out to return home, but on the way he has to face many troubles. If you want to understand this film well, then keep watching this video. Today I will explain the Odyssey movie in short. So let's begin. Before knowing the story of the movie, we have to understand its background. The story of the Odyssey was written by the ancient Greek poet Homer, who is known for two famous poems or novels, which are the Iliad and the Odyssey. These two books are actually two parts of the same story. Whereas the first book, the Iliad, shows the war between Troy and the Greek kingdoms. Because Prince Paris of the city of Troy had kidnapped Queen Helen of the city of Sparta in Greece. Then Helen's husband Menelaus told this to his brother Agamemnon, who was a great king of Greece. Therefore, Agamemnon then joined with Menelaus and several other Greek kings and declared war against Troy. Then those people traveled by sea and reached Troy. But they could not enter the city because the walls of Troy were extremely strong, and it was impossible to break them. The Trojans, meaning the people of Troy, took advantage of this and started coming out of the city to fight the Greek army, so that no harm would come to their kingdom. In this way, the Trojan War continued outside Troy for 10 years. Due to this, the Greek soldiers became troubled because they had neither gotten Helen back nor were they able to win the war. Then the king of the city of Ithaca in Greece, Odysseus, who was very clever and brave, he made a plan, and to enter Troy, he prepared a large wooden horse, inside which many good Greek warriors hid. After this, the rest of the Greek army moved away from there, and also hid their ships, which made the Trojans think that the Greek soldiers had accepted defeat and gone back, and had left a gift for them, which was that large wooden horse. Therefore, the Trojans took the gift inside their city. Then, when all the people of Troy fell asleep at midnight, the Greek soldiers came out of that horse and opened the city gate from the inside, due to which the rest of the Greek army came inside Troy, and they killed all the people there and rescued Helen. Here the first story, the Iliad, ends. After this, the second story, the Odyssey, begins, in which the return home of King Odysseus of Ithaca is shown. So, at the beginning of this movie, we find out that the Greeks have won the Trojan War, after which Menelaus departs for Sparta with his wife Helen, and Agamemnon and the other kings head to their respective cities. But instead of going directly to his city of Ithaca, Odysseus decides to return home while traveling the world. Therefore, he and his army take their sea vessels and set off in a different direction. On the way, they need food, so they stop at different islands. In this way, they continue their journey. Then those people get down on a deserted island, where Odysseus sees a sheep, which he follows so that they can find a whole flock of sheep. Then they reach a cave, where they find many sheep, but their owner was a large, one-eyed monster whose name was Polyphemus. He captures all of them in that cave and kills and eats some soldiers. In the end, Odysseus and his companions blind that monster and flee from the cave. But before leaving, they had realized that Polyphemus was actually the son of the sea god Poseidon, who, upon being blinded, was praying to his father for their punishment forever. That is why now Odysseus's entire army gets scared that they have angered the sea god, due to which they will face troubles on the way. But Odysseus does not pay attention to these things and keeps moving forward. But now, their journey had truly become very difficult, where now many storms start coming in the sea, causing them to lose their way. Then, in search of food, they stop on an island, where very large-sized men lived, who attack Odysseus's army and kill many soldiers, and also break some of their ships. In the end, only one sea vessel is left, in which Odysseus and some soldiers were present. They all now become angry with their king because, due to his wrong decisions, they had lost their way, and many of their men had been killed. Therefore, when they later stop on an island, all the soldiers there ask Odysseus to stay near the ship, and they themselves go to find food. Then those people find a house where a woman named Circe lived. She gives all those men a lot of non-vegetarian food, after eating which they start becoming intoxicated. Then Circe touches them and turns them into pigs because that woman was actually a witch, and she used to turn all the people who came there into animals with her magic. On the other side, Odysseus was worrying that his companions had been missing for a long time. Therefore, he sets out to find them. Then he also reaches Circe's house and asks her about his companions. But she says she does not know about them, and she also serves that non-vegetarian food to Odysseus. But he does not eat it because Odysseus, seeing many animals and his companions' belongings there, had become suspicious that Circe was a witch. Then he asks her why she turned his men into pigs. Then Circe says that many soldiers often come to that island who try to loot her belongings in honor. That is why, by tempting them with food, she turns them into animals. On this, Odysseus says that his companions are not like that. They just want to return home. That is why Circe turns all of them back into humans. Then when Odysseus asks her the way home, Circe says that they are lost, and now to return, they will have to go to the land of the dead, where a blind prophet named Tiresias will show them the right path. Then Odysseus and his companions take their ship and set out on the path told by Circe and reach a dark island, where, upon sacrificing an animal, many dead people come there, who were the souls of those who had been killed in that war and journey. Agamemnon was also among them, who tells Odysseus that when he returned home, his own wife killed him through treachery. Therefore, he should return to his home carefully. Then a soldier tells Odysseus that in his kingdom, a conspiracy is going on against him. After this, Tiresias there explains the way forward to Odysseus and prophesies that in that journey, all the soldiers will be killed and only he alone will survive. But Odysseus tells him that he will not let his friends die. Just then, at that place, many dead soldiers attack Odysseus and his companions because he could not save them from dying. Then all of them run away from there and start walking on the path told by Tiresias, where they face many troubles, in which some soldiers are killed. In the end, those people reach an island where there were many cows whose owner was the sun god. Tiresias had said about those cows not to eat them, otherwise they would all be killed. Odysseus tells this to his companions, who agree at first, but then those people get stuck on that island for a few days and find nothing to eat there. Therefore, later those soldiers kill a cow and eat it. At this, Odysseus becomes very angry. Then they get a chance to leave that island, and then they receive the punishment for eating that cow, and storms start coming in the sea. In the end, the wrath of the sky god Zeus rains upon them, and lightning strikes their ship, due to which that boat breaks, and all the soldiers drown and die. Now only Odysseus remained alive, who, in an unconscious state, reaches a magical island where no one lived except a woman whose name was Calypso. She was very beautiful and immortal because she was a goddess. She falls in love with Odysseus and serves him a lot and heals him. Calypso wanted to marry Odysseus, but he wanted to go back home. Therefore, Calypso then starts feeding him a magical flower, due to which Odysseus loses his memory and forgets his home and family and stays there. But Odysseus was not happy there. He was still restless to return home. That is why Calypso does not marry him for the time being and waits for the day when Odysseus completely forgets his past. In this way, a few years pass. The Trojan War took 10 years. Then they wandered at sea for 3 years, and now Odysseus had been on this island for 7 years. Meaning, he was away from his home for 20 years. For this reason, over there in Ithaca, everyone had assumed that Odysseus had died. But his wife Penelope, son Telemachus, and a blind servant Eumaeus had faith that their king was alive and would surely return. But taking advantage of Odysseus's absence, many rich and lustful men of the kingdom had come and settled in the palace, and they wanted to marry Penelope and become the new king of Ithaca. Those people were called suitors. Among them, the worst was a man named Antinous, who treated Telemachus very badly and pressured Penelope for marriage. But the two of them were unable to drive those suitors away because they did not have an army, and it was considered bad to drive guests away like that. And the threat of sea pirates also loomed over the kingdom, from whom the suitors might be needed for defense. Therefore, Penelope was somehow tolerating them and using excuses to postpone the talk of marriage. But Telemachus had now become very troubled by this. Therefore, he decides to go find his father, for which he goes to Sparta with some people, meets Menelaus, and asks him about Odysseus. Then Menelaus tells Telemachus how they won the Trojan War, and after that, everyone departed for their cities except Odysseus. But what happened next, Menelaus did not know. However, Telemachus becomes very happy after hearing the tales of his father's bravery and wisdom, and he becomes convinced that Odysseus is alive and will surely return home. On the other side, in Ithaca, Antinous and some suitors make a plan to kill Telemachus so that he can usurp the throne of the kingdom. Therefore, Antinous sends some of his men to kill Telemachus. Over on that magical island, Calypso gets a sign from the gods that she should now let Odysseus go home. Therefore, she stops feeding him that magical flower and helps Odysseus regain his memory. Then when he remembers everything, Calypso says that he will have to surrender himself to the sea and face troubles. Only then will he be able to return home. Therefore, Odysseus builds a small boat, gets on it, and after passing through some storms, reaches Ithaca. Then, taking the form of a beggar, he goes near the palace, where he learns from blind Eumaeus that Telemachus has gone to Pylos, and the suitors have sent some men there to kill him. That is why Odysseus also goes there, and saves Telemachus from those assassins. Then he tells him that he is a soldier from the Trojan War, whom Odysseus has sent to assess the situation there. But Telemachus understands that he is his father. Then Odysseus tells him to arrange a feast in the palace, and gather all the suitors there so that their reality can be known. Then Telemachus goes to the palace, where Odysseus comes disguised as a beggar. Then the suitors there treat him very badly. After this, Penelope talks to that beggar, and he says that he was with Odysseus in the Trojan War, where they did great wrong to the people of Troy and killed many innocent people. They even broke the statue of the goddess Athena and killed her priestess. Since then, Athena had been appearing to Odysseus in the form of that priestess and making him realize his sins. Therefore, Odysseus felt that whatever happened to them on that journey was the fruit of their own deeds. Apart from this, the sea pirates that were being talked about in the kingdom were actually Greek soldiers themselves, who were looting many islands in search of food. Then Odysseus tells Penelope that her husband is alive, and will come there when the right time comes. Then Penelope arranges a contest in the palace, and tells all the suitors that whoever strings that bow and shoots an arrow through 12 axe heads, she will marry him. Then all the suitors try one by one to string that bow. But none of them could do that task, because that bow belonged to Odysseus, and only he had the strength to use it. Then finally, that beggar comes forward and strings that bow. From this, all the suitors understand that he is Odysseus. That is why they attack him. But Odysseus alone kills Antinous and many suitors. Out of fear, the remaining people accept defeat and bow down before him. In the end, Penelope is very happy to meet her husband. After all this, Odysseus makes his son the new king of Ithaca, and leaves the city with Penelope in search of peace, where both of them go to an unknown island in the west and also pay tribute to all the dead soldiers. So friends, this was the explanation of the Odyssey movie. If you like this video, then please like and share it. And to watch such interesting videos, subscribe to our channel and press this bell icon so that you can receive our videos at the right time.